You hear about AI transforming industries every single day. But let's be real. If you're a leader, the big question isn't if AI is a big deal. It's how do you build a strategy that actually wins? This isn't about you learning to code. It's about learning how to lead in a brand new era, how to become a true AI strategist.
So that brings us to the most critical question your organization can possibly ask. Is your AI strategy really built for value? Or is it, maybe without you even realizing it, actually built for failure? And here's the root of the problem. The tech, the AI itself, is moving at lightning speed, but the strategic frameworks for leaders just haven't kept up. What that does is create this huge gap between knowing AI is important and actually knowing how to steer the ship to capitalize on it.
The thing is, we've moved way past the point where AI is just some cool experiment happening in a lab somewhere. It's now absolutely essential for competitive advantage. So this leadership gap, it's not a small problem. It creates some really serious business risks.
And when you actually look at the numbers, it's pretty eye-opening. A full 40%, the biggest piece of the pie, comes from misaligned initiatives. I mean, that's just money, time, and talent wasted on AI projects that don't even serve the core business. The rest is split right down the middle between poor risk management and, frankly, just getting outplayed by competitors who get this right. So, what's the fix? Well, we need a new blueprint, a framework that's built specifically for leaders, one that bridges that gap between the technical world of algorithms and data and the strategic world of business value, risk, and, of course, growth. And this isn't some high-level abstract theory, right? It's a clear three-stage journey. You start by building the right foundation. Then, and only then, can you really execute the vision. And finally, you have to master the ongoing complexities. It's a logical path that takes you from a great idea all the way to real-world impact.
All right, so let's dive into stage one, building that foundation. Because look, everything starts here. If you don't get this part right, any AI initiative you launch is basically just a shot in the dark. You know, the cornerstone of this whole foundation is a massive shift in thinking. As a leader, you have to stop seeing data as just the exhaust fumes from your business operations. You have to start treating it as a core strategic asset, right up there with your brand, your capital, or your people. It's the fuel for literally everything you're going to want to do with AI.
So, this foundation really rests on two pillars that have to work together. First, you need the vision. You've got to understand what AI can actually do for your business. But second, you need the engine, a really solid data strategy, and the governance to make sure you're using that data effectively and safely. You see, one without the other is completely useless.
Okay, so once you've got that solid foundation in place, we can move on to execution. This is where the rubber meets the road. It's where your strategy starts to become a reality and you start building and implementing AI solutions that create tangible results for the business.
Now this right here, this highlights one of the biggest mental hurdles for executives. We're all trained to expect these predictable IT projects with clear timelines and deliverables. But AI initiatives, they are a different beast. They're iterative, the outcomes can be uncertain, and often the biggest return you get early on is simply learning. As a leader, you have to get comfortable with that uncertainty to build a realistic business case.
And the way you execute follows a really logical path. You start with the what, that's your roadmap, then you move to the why, the business case, then you have to manage the how, the organizational change, which is huge, and finally, you've got to prove it all by measuring the real impact and the ROI. All right, now for stage 3. And honestly, this is probably the most challenging and continuous part of the whole thing. AI is not a set it and forget it technology. Not at all. It introduces all these new and complex challenges that demand constant management. Everything from risk and ethics to talent.
Let's just make this real for a second. This table makes it crystal clear. You see a technical sounding term like algorithmic bias? Well, in the real world, that translates directly to reputational damage and big regulatory fines. Model drift, where an AI just gets worse over time, that leads to flawed, costly business decisions. And adversarial attacks, those can cause actual operational failures. Leaders have to get these connections.
So, with all that going on, where should leaders focus their attention? Well, it's no surprise that risk and ethics are right at the top, with super high importance. Same with talent and teams. But notice, it's not just about what you build internally. It's also about managing your whole external ecosystem of partners. Success in AI is both an internal and an external game. So when you put all three of those stages together, the foundation, the execution, and the management, what you get is the end goal. A transformed leader
who moves beyond just being aware of AI to someone who takes decisive, informed action.
At the end of the day, it really is a balancing act. As the source material so perfectly puts it, you've got to navigate technical complexity while maintaining focus on business value. It's about managing those risks while you're capturing opportunities and leading massive change while never letting go of your ethical standards. That is the core challenge of AI leadership.
So what does this new kind of leader actually look like? Well, they don't just approve budgets, they make truly informed investment decisions. They don't just roll out new tech, they actively lead the new dynamic of humans and AI working together. They build a culture that actually runs on data. They manage all these new AI-specific risks with confidence, and ultimately, they use AI to reinvent the business itself. And that leaves us with one final and kind of tough question. This transformation, it's not a future thing. It's happening right now. Your competitors are actively working to build this exact kind of leadership. So the only real question left is, are you?